Hello, welcome to our YouTube channel. This is Angelo speaking today. We're going to be showing the Broly deck profile today. Hello, Matthew. How are you?
Hey everybody.
So today, why do you play the Broly as your leader today?
I like playing the Broly leader because I like his leader ability. He actually has two abilities. One is a permanent effect where he can only attack leaders, but I actually like his second ability the most because when he's unawakened, whenever he declares an attack, both you and your opponent actually have to discard a card from your hand.
Okay.
And then when he awakens, it actually gets even more powerful. He still keeps the permanent ability of only being able to attack other leaders, but on top of that, now when he attacks, not only do you draw a card, but then on top of that, both you and your opponent have to discard a card from hand, and you and your opponent have to pop a card from your own field.
For everybody that doesn't know, Broly as a deck is a very overpowering leader because it's a very aggressive deck that makes your whole hand a discard most of the time. So it's a very aggressive and discarding deck profile. Thank you, Matthew. Let's get on to the deck profile.
All right, so the first card I'd like to actually bring into play here is a card that you pretty much need for this deck. It's called Broly's Ring. I run about 3 of them. What Broly's Ring does is it's a field card, and when it's out on the field, you don't have to discard from your hand due to Broly's effect. So as a result, when he's unawakened, it's actually just a free cause your opponent to discard effect every time you attack with Broly. And when he's awakened, it means that you only have to pop a card from the field. I only run 3 because pretty much once you have one out on the field, there isn't that much removal for these cards. So the idea is that I don't want to run 4 because it makes my hand too clunky, but I want to run 3 because it makes it very likely that I'm actually going to get into hand. On top of that, I also have a search card for it, which we'll get into in a little bit, that makes getting it easier to play.
Okay.
Okay. And the next card actually that I'm going to bring into play here is Progress Controller of Monsters. I also run 3 of Progress, and what Progress does is he's a 2-mana green card, 10,000 power, and when you play him, he actually has an auto skill that lets you search your deck for a Broly's Ring, and then it lets you bring it directly into play. I also run 3 copies of this because pretty much after the first copy of Progress, he doesn't really become useful after that. On top of that, he is just a simple, easy, zero cost 5,000 combo. He's easy energy after I've used him and have a Broly's Ring out in field. And early game, he can put a little bit of pressure on the leader because since he is at 10,000, he can swing at an unawakened leader.
And what speeds Parai gets into the deck? What speeds them up?
What speeds him up is that he actually gets me a Broly's Ring out, and with this deck, there's a huge difference in the way you play when you do and you don't have Broly's Ring. So by him allowing me to get a Broly's Ring out on turn 2, it allows me to basically more aggressively discard from my opponent's hand earlier on in the game without it having a cost towards my own hand.
Okay.
Okay. The next card that I'm going to bring in is Broly Dawn of the Rampage. So Broly Dawn of the Rampage is a simple 1-cost green card. He has 5,000 power, and his ability is that when you play him, he allows you to search the top 7 cards of your deck, and you can search and you can add any one Broly card to your hand. Now, the reason why I run this card at 4, and the reason why is pretty simple. First of all, he is always useful from early to late game. Second of all, he is the evolution target when it comes to the other Broly evolutions. Pretty much, since he's the cheapest, he's the one who you can get out the easiest and then evolve into him later on.
Okay, and most of the time, do you play him early in the game or do you mostly play him late in the game? Because since he's a 1-drop, how is he played in the deck?
It varies. Sometimes I'll play him early. If I say don't have a copy of my more powerful Brolys, I'll play a copy of him early, and then I'll just leave him in active mode so my opponent basically has to either they can't attack into him or they have to use some form of removal against him. Um, but later on, in later game, he can be used too, because not only can I play him for one, but then on top of that, in that turn, if I still have enough energy, I can immediately evolve into him to get out a more powerful creature.
Okay.
All right. The next card that I'm going to go into is actually Rampaging Lifeform Bio Broly. This is a 5-cost, 20,000 power card with double strike. And this card actually has the Evolve tag, which means that if I have a Broly out, which I usually try to with Broly Dawn of the Rampage, I can evolve into him for 2 greens and 2 any other energy. So basically 1 less energy. On top of that, he has an auto where if I evolve into him, I force my opponent to discard 2 cards from their hand, which goes in line with what I really want to be doing with this Broly deck, which is I want to force the opponent to be discarding cards. I want them to have as very little resources as possible, and I want to be very disruptive. And then the double strike is just it's a nice little add-on, because then it gives me some aggression on the board.
And does Rampaging usually speed up the Broly deck, or how does that card work in the deck?
Yes, because what it does is it now switches from me having just controlling the opponent's board to me having a presence that they need to deal with on board. It's no longer I'm just causing you to discard hands. It's I have a legitimate attacking threat out there that can burst you down quickly if you don't do something about it. Which means that effectively whenever I attack with him, in order to to deal with him, you basically have to combo your cards in, which means again you're getting rid of cards from your hand to stop him.
Okay.
And I actually run 4. I'm sorry, I missed one, but yeah, I run 4 simply because I want more chances to hit him with the Broly Dawn of the Rampage.
Okay.
And onto the next card. It's actually Broly the Rampaging Horror. I run 4 copies as well. And he is a 6-drop green, 30,000 power with double strike. And he also has the Evolve tag, meaning that if I pay 4 green energies and 1 other colored energy, and I have a Broly card out on the field, I can evolve into him. He also has the auto that whenever he's played, your opponent discard. You get to choose randomly from your opponent's hand 2 cards that they discard. Alright. And the reason why I put this in is because, simply put, it just kind of goes along with the whole evolve chain. But unlike the 5-drop, he does not need to be evolved into in order to gain his auto. So you can simply play him as a 6-drop and still get his full effectiveness, as opposed to the 5-drop where you prefer to evolve into him. But you can evolve into him a turn earlier if you so choose to.
Okay.
Yeah. Now the next card, and I run 4 of this card as well, is Overflowing Bio Warrior Army. This is pretty much a staple in this deck. This is a 2-cost green card with 15 power, and it has the auto of if this card is destroyed while it's out in the battle area, I can discard a card from my hand, and it'll automatically bring it back. It won't just bring it back in rest mode, it comes out back in active mode. And this card is an essential for this deck because when I have the Awakened Broly leader, I have to destroy a card out of my field, as well as my opponent has to destroy a card out of their field. So this guy becomes that target. So when I attack with the Broly, Awakened Broly, I target this guy, he gets destroyed, I discard a card, and I bring him back. And I can actually effectively give him dual strike in that way, because I can attack with him, put him in rest mode, then attack with my Broly, pop this card, discard a card, and then bring this back in active mode. And then my Broly gets his attack, and then he gets a second attack.
And what makes this card control the Broly deck the most?
What makes it really good with the Broly deck is that, unlike my opponent, who's going to have to forcibly pop a card on their field that they don't want to with the with the awakened Broly power, I have a card that greatly benefits from being popped by him because I can continually bring it back and put it back in active mode. So what he does is he effectively makes an easy target for me to choose with my Broly awakened power.
Okay.
The next card I'm going to bring up is Hidden Awakening Kale. This Kale is a 4-drop green with critical, and it actually has 2 autos. The first auto is that when I bring her out, I have to pop one of my battle cards. Then, if I do that, I get to then destroy any number of my opponent's battle cards as long as their total energy cost is equal to 5 or less. Now, this card is very good in tandem with the Bio Warriors because if I have my Bio Warriors out, I can attack with them, put them in rest, then bring out Kale, pop the Bio Warriors, toss a card, discard a card from my hand to bring them back in active mode, attack with them again, put them in rest mode, attack with my Broly, pop the Bio Warriors, discard a card, bring them back, and then they get to attack again, effectively giving them triple attack. And then on top of that, Kale has another auto on top of that. Whenever she attacks, if I have 5 cards or less, I get to draw a card. And the reason why I like running this card is because she makes a very immediate presence when I play her. I can effectively give my Bio Warriors dual strike or triple attack or triple strike, whichever if my Broly is awakened or not, depending, with her auto. Then I can pop a card that is actually potentially greater than her if that is, say, a 5-cost card. Then she has critical, so she's swinging at the opponent 20,000. If their heroes awaken at 15, they effectively have to give at least 10,000 power to beat her, which means that she forces them to discard anyways. If they don't, they take, instead of gaining that life into their hand, they have to put it right into their drop pile. And then on top of that, she gets you to draw you a card if you have 5 or less, which when it comes to the Bio Warriors, there's a good chance you're going to have 5 or less because you're discarding to bring them back.
Okay.
All right. The next card that I'm bringing in is Energy Power Gotenks. He is a 3-cost green, 15,000 power, 15,000 power, with the auto of whenever he attacks a leader card, your opponent must discard a card. This guy's pretty straightforward. He's basically the unawakened Broly's leader power minus the discard from hand. So he's very cheap on top of that, and the fact that he's at 1,500 power means that he can even attack awakened leaders and still force your opponent to have to combo in to even negate the damage, which means that he can effectively either cause your opponent to discard a card and then take a life, or have to discard basically 2 cards to stop taking a life, which pushes us towards our end game goal of denying your opponent their resource.